Rice County Commissioners Districts 1 and 2 Candidate Forum. We thank the candidates and the audience for attending today and our internet audience for viewing. This forum is co-sponsored by Carleton College and St. Olaf College's Institute for Freedom and Community and the Academic Civic Engagement Program. Sponsorship of this forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face-to-face and is not an endorsement by the League or the co-sponsors of any particular candidate. The views expressed here today are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters or the co-sponsors. The League of Women Voters posts complete unedited recordings of forums, which will also be available online at lwvnorthfieldmn.org within the next week. Editing is authorized only for official media reporting. Excerpts or edited clips of candidate forums may not be used for partisan political purposes. There is never enough time to cover all of the issues. If you feel that your question was not addressed, please contact the candidate directly after the forum. And now I would like to introduce our moderator, Catherine Davis, a certified moderator from the Rochester League of Women Voters.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. So we're going to start the candidate forum with opening statements. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for their opening statements and then 1 minute for their closing statements. Opening statements will be in alphabetical order, starting with Galen Malika, Jim Purfist, and then Eric Celine. Closing statements will be in random order. The order of answering questions will be rotated, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to questions. Please note our timekeepers, volunteers from our local league who have a 30-second, and then a 15-second sign. They also have a stop sign, or we'll call time to make sure each candidate has the full 1 minute response time. We hope that most, if not all, of the questions will be those submitted by the audience. We also have questions that have been submitted by email to the League of Women Voters. And with that, let's begin with opening statements in candidate Malika.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us today. My name is Galen Malika. I am running for District 2 County Commissioner. I've been a District 2 Commissioner since 2007, so quite a long time. I wish to continue running to represent the people of my district, which is predominantly Northfield. Jim has two precincts within his district that are Northfield. I believe that I do a very good job at representing the people of Northfield when it comes to county issues. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jim Purfist. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and St. Olaf for hosting this event. I am running for re-election because I care deeply about Rice County and the people. I am a lifelong resident of Rice County, a fifth-generation farmer, married to wife Deb for 42 years. Together we raised 3 children who all live and work in Rice County. I currently farm with sons Mark and Matt. Our family has been recognized as a Rice County Farm Family of the Year, and we are a Minnesota Water Quality Certified Farm. What do I support? Strong economic and ag development, measures to promote a healthy environment, affordable housing with expanded opportunities for home ownership, comprehensive transportation systems including safe roads and trails, healthy communities and effective public safety, fiscal responsibility with quality services. I believe my experience as the current Rice County Commissioner and past Soil and Water Board Supervisor highlights my qualifications and leadership skills to serve effectively. I understand the value of hard work, dedication, compromise, and working together to get things done. I am an active listener, an experienced ag business owner with strong financial management skills. I have a common sense approach to get things done. I am strongly committed to lead in a positive, effective manner for a strong Rice County. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters and St. Olaf College and Carleton College, and thank you to everyone here. I really appreciate this kind of forum. My name is Eric Saline, and I am running for District 1 Rice County Commissioner. I grew up right here in District 1, just north of Nearstrand, playing in the big woods, helping in my dad's woodworking shop, taking classes at the Guild here in Northfield, getting bused into the Faribault schools, even running around this campus as a kid when my mom taught here. It's this place that really made me who I am today. After going off to college and living outside of Minnesota, this is where I wanted to come back to raise my kids, here in Northfield, and to run my small business, and to find ways to serve this community. As for how I decided to run, well, I was as surprised as anyone by a proposal to put a mining operation along our Big Woods corridor, likely to be followed by an asphalt plant. Many of you probably heard about it, and there's a whole lot that went wrong. Hundreds of neighbors with serious concerns about health, safety, and environmental impacts, but the process for public input was broken. In the end, 4 out of 5 commissioners made the wrong decision. They voted against a real environmental review and for putting the mining operation in, right along Prairie Creek. But my campaign is not just about one poorly managed project. It's about improving how Rice County does business across the board. I'm hearing about so many missed opportunities for Rice County to do better. And we can do better with fresh leadership on our county board. And we can do more to take advantage of the ideas and experience we already have here in District 1. Come check out my campaign website at betterricecounty.com. I'm ready to serve as a better representative for District 1, both for the rural areas and the big population centers here in Bridgewater, Northfield, St. Olaf, and Dundas. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin with our first question, and the order of answering will be candidate Saline, followed by candidate Purfist, and then finally candidate Malika. So our first question is, what is the role of the county commissioner, including its scope of authority and responsibilities? Candidate Saline.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. As I'm out campaigning, I'm hearing that question a lot from by people just going door to door. People are asking me, well, what is a county commissioner? What do Rice County commissioners do? And a lot of people don't realize that we have a county administrator in Rice County. We have about 500 full-time employees in Rice County, and they're managed by basically a COO. That's our county administrator. So county commissioners don't manage staff. They don't even have assistants. They don't even actually have their own offices. What county commissioners, really their role is to be a voice for the districts they serve. When big decisions are brought to the county board, often with options from the staff, and we depend on our county commissioners to understand the districts they serve and to be a voice for those communities, to ask the tough questions, and to make the right decision in the end. And so it's really that kind of role that I'm hoping to play, to be that kind of voice for District 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purfist.
Yeah, Commissioner, in my mind, what we do is we gather information from the public on topics that are presented to us that need to be discussed. We set the budgets, which we're currently working on now. There's issues that come up throughout the year that we need to support or deny, which we've done both in the past. But we need to have open doors to communicate with the people that we represent within our district. And I try my best to do so and make an objective decision on which way we should vote on topics. Thank you.
Candidate Malika.
Thank you. First and foremost, we're elected by the people of our district, so representing the people of our district is, to me, one of our number one priorities. But we are also charged with the protection of the citizens in health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. We are also in charge of budgeting, policy, and procedure decisions.
Thank you. Our next question is a question that was submitted via email before the forum, and our order of answering will be candidate Purfist, followed by candidate Malika, and then finally candidate Saline. As County Commissioner, what measures, if any, would you support to reinforce or ensure voter confidence in our elections. Candidate Purfist.
Okay, thank you. I would encourage the people to attend the trainings that are put on by county staff. They go through the different machines that are used throughout that. I would encourage people to get involved with the election process. Become an election judge, become a poll worker. Just get involved. I have total confidence in our staff that conducts these elections, and they have my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Great, thank you. It's our jobs as commissioners to make sure that, obviously, staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Denise Anderson, who is our elections official, is considered to be one of the best elections directors in the state of Minnesota and has gotten great support from us as commissioners. Election integrity is very important. Our support to our staff and our director is very important, and we take that very seriously, so thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
Yes, I'll echo what Galen said about our Denise Anderson. I mean, we're lucky to have such a fantastic person leading our election staff. That said, I'm just out on the campaign trail. I'm hearing so much concern. I mean, people are really worried here that we're not doing enough to protect the integrity of our elections. And I think people are looking for more vocal support from their county commissioners, being not just being supportive, but actually being vocally supportive. I mean, we need to be out there supporting our campaigns actively. Our campaigns are under assault, unfortunately, here even in Rice County. I have people really worried, like, are they supporting a Trumper, for election? And that's something that people really want to know. This is a nonpartisan office, and yet people have those concerns. So I would like to be a voice. I think when we leave silences, it leaves room for conspiracy theories and people to fill in the blanks with all kinds of bad stuff. And so I think it's going to be a job for the commission to really be out in front and speaking on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question that was submitted prior to the forum, and the order of answering this will be candidate Celine, followed by candidate Purfist, and then finally candidate Malika. Please explain what the funding is in the ballot question, county question 1, and which voters will be most impacted if the ballot question is approved.
Oh my gosh, okay, that's a big one. That ballot question, I'm really concerned about that. Maybe many in this audience are wondering, what ballot question are we talking about? I go, almost without exception, when I go to people's doors, they do not know about this ballot question. I believe that voters are going to be surprised in the ballot booth, and I'm concerned about that. The question is, how are we supposed to pay for our county jail? We've already borrowed the $48 million. How are we going to pay it back? The measure is worded almost like a ballot measure. It talks about $48 million, not the $81 million payback cost. And we're making a decision about whether to pay that county jail back, either through the existing property tax payment or a new sales tax. How are we supposed to evaluate that? As citizens, we don't even know about this question. I can understand property owners. Wealthy farmers are sitting on $10 to $15 million of property in Rice County. And homeowners in Northfield are feeling incredible stress on their property taxes. And yet, how are we supposed to know exactly what the trade-offs are in picking a sales tax? I'm very much concerned about that gap. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purfist.
Okay, first of all, lost is a local option sales tax. What we came up with is a 3/8 of 1% tax that would be on all goods, non-essential goods, I should say, so it won't include your groceries, your food, your medicines or medical, and your automobiles. This tax should generate the payments that are required to make the Justice Center's payments. This money can only be used for the Justice Center, and once that is paid off, the tax goes away. Projections have shown that this tax from outside people traveling through and using our county facilities, our lakes, whatever you might have, should generate about 1/3 of that tax for us. So that's kind of the long and short of it. It's going to be paid one way or the other, either real estate taxes or this sales tax. So, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure. First, we'll be having some forums coming up on the ballot question. One will be held in Northfield, one will be held in Faribault, to explain what it is. But basically, the two of them, these two here have we were authorized by the legislature to come up with a sales tax. Winona County, and there was one other county at the same time, and it passed on the legislative level. It's legal. There is a regional benefit when we help out other smaller counties to house their inmates. It comes down to a choice of, do you want it on your property tax, or do you want to pay for it through sales tax? And through the sales tax, there will be others that come into the county to shop that will also be paying for it. To me, that's how I'm voting. I'm going to vote yes on it instead of having it go to the property tax.
Thank you. Our final question that was submitted prior to the forum, and the order of answering will be candidate Malika, followed by candidate Celine, and then candidate Purfist. What are your thoughts about how policy can help balance long-term environmental health with desirable economic development for publicly and privately owned property in Rice County?
Can you repeat that again?
Absolutely. What are your thoughts about how policy can help balance long-term environmental health with desirable economic development for publicly and privately owned property in Rice County?
Sure. So a couple of things. We have an environmental services department, which mainly deals with planning and zoning. If you don't live out in the rural area, then you're not going to be dealing with our planning and zoning department. And we also have our landfill. We have about 15 to 20 years left on our landfill, and being very concerned about that, myself and Commissioner Purfist have both asked our staff to come forward at a work session to talk about the life expectancy of the landfill and recycling, and what are we going to do after it closes. So long-term planning is what we're looking at. As far as economic development goes, we don't really take a major role as in economic development. Our economic development department is there to support. So we support Northfield, we support Faribault, we support Lonsdale, we support Dundas, Near Strand, Morristown in their economic development endeavors. But we also consider environmental impacts when we work with them on economic development.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
All right. I guess the way I like to think about this, just to kind of keep it simple, is this really comes down just to the water we drink, the air we breathe, the land we live on. And unfortunately, the water, as the EPA is telling us in southern Minnesota, the water we drink is contaminated. And this does affect both private and public concerns. When we know that our water needs to be tested, and we know that people really need to be installing reverse osmosis filters throughout rural Minnesota, the southern part especially. And then also the air we breathe. We're talking about the landfill. Well, we had a major landfill fire just last year, and people were choking on those toxic fumes, and they weren't getting the kind of response from the county they needed. When their kids, their animals, were breathing these toxic fumes for days. Now, in addition to that, I think we could be protecting our natural corridors. District 1, we live in this wonderful treasure. District 1 is the big woods district of Rice County, and we could be doing so much more. Right now we have this kind of generic ag zoning that doesn't serve this area effectively. There's so much more we could be doing, and I hope to get a chance to talk about that in a later question. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purfist.
Yeah, if we're going to promote economic development, we need to keep working on our road structure. We need a good, safe road system. We need to continue to support our schools to get the people in this county educated. If you're going to have economic development, you need a workforce that they can come in and hire to provide them with the necessary people they need to do it. If I could just respond a little bit to the landfill, we were kind of had our hands tied, or they had their hands tied somewhat. There was an ongoing investigation on a death that could have been incorporated into our landfill. So they were not allowed to get the fire trucks and the water trucks around part of that. So that was a little bit of a delay there. And I don't know how public that is, but that was some of the hang up with that. As far as clean water and stuff like that goes, our soil and water district has got numerous programs out there to promote cover crops, minimum till, no-till. We can put in the water basins necessary to hold this water upland before it gets down to the creek to help alleviate soil erosion. Thank you.
Thank you. A question from the audience, and order will be candidate Purvis, followed by candidate Malika, and then finally candidate Celine. What ideas do you have for how the county can address affordable housing?
Well, affordable housing is necessary to bring in the workforce, like I mentioned earlier. Currently, Rice County, with the purchase of land that we built the Justice Center on, dedicated 7 acres to a housing. It's called Twin Oaks Housing Development or something like that. But this 7 acres will give us 21 homes. With the 21 homes, there's 6 going in now with Habitat to Humanity working on that and community, But they're working on that with a $100,000 buy-down grant for these new families can purchase these homes. And that's one step. I know there's numerous projects online or coming online with apartments and stuff to help alleviate some of the housing problems within our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure. Housing, as you know, the county HRA, we run the Section 8 housing voucher program. We've seen that grow for many years now. And as Commissioner Purvis alluded to, we are working on a housing development in Faribault with 21 homes for first-time home buyers and affordable home buyers, make it affordable. And also for the second and third owners of those properties, there will be deed restrictions on those properties to make them further down the road affordable. Working together with Northfield, Faribault, Dundas, Lonsdale on housing projects, and taking advantage of the federal and state fundings that are out there and available for us to apply towards housing. The only way we're going to make this work is by working together and collaborating as municipalities and county on making this work.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
Okay. I don't think anybody will be surprised to hear that I'm in favor of affordable housing. I mean, it's really important for Rice County. I think we all recognize that need. I also recognize Galen's leadership on this. It sounds like, I mean, he's really been at the center of a lot of really important efforts. I'd love to hear about possibilities for Rice County to be doing a better job at being a coordinator among all these different governmental units we have in Rice County that end up sometimes working at cross purposes. A concern I have, and I hope we get a chance to talk about this, is that with the process for public involvement in Rice County is so broken in so many ways. I'm concerned that we're not speaking with the people who we are hoping to serve with affordable housing adequately. So even though we have our best intentions and our best efforts, we may not always be doing what the people we hope to serve really need. And so I hope we get more of a chance to talk about that. And one last little detail is, this is kind of technical, but in rural areas in Rice County, we have this thing called transfer of development rights, where you can peel off the housing development right of your property and then cluster those. I think we could be doing a lot more to guide that process with affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, the order, another one from the audience, and the order will be candidate Celine, candidate Purvis, and then followed by candidate Malika. How would you change Rice County board procedures to make the decision-making process more open and transparent to the public?
Okay, yay. I guess this is what I was hoping to talk about. I really do believe Rice County's got so much important stuff to do, but our process for public involvement is just broken. We have public hearings on important issues where just one person, 67,000 people in Rice County, one person comes to testify. We have important meetings that are not accessible to working families. We have so-called notices to the public that follow the letter of the law but do not reach the public, do not communicate with the public adequately. These are things we need to be improving, because when those things are broken, what happens, right? We get bad surprises as members of the public, right? We get confusion, right, about like things like paying for the jail, and then other people fill in, right? We've got business reps who are happy to show up and participate. We've got, if we're not there, other people, or we got extreme people who will show up. The one or two who do show up don't often represent the real community of Rice County. So I'm very concerned about that, and there's a lot more to talk about. So I hope we get a couple of shots at this. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purfist.
Yeah, over the last number of years, we've opened up a special meeting for public comment, a board meeting. It's the second Tuesday of every month, and on our regular board meetings after the community hall meetings, after each topic, there is open forum for public comments. Either online, you can participate, you can call in, or you can be there in person. We're trying to be as accessible as possible. I think one thing that would help is like Tuesday's board meeting, that agenda probably came out yesterday, Friday. I would like to see that spread out a couple weeks. I'm gonna bring that up. That gives the public more time to get a hold of their commissioner and view their opinions on what they think of the topics are and how we should go forward to proceeding with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure. So lots of things. Boy, we try and communicate the best that we can. And there are some state laws and statutes that we have to take into consideration when we are doing communicating. We have to have designated official newspaper to print our minutes, meeting minutes, and our agendas in. However, people are not reading the newspaper. We're seeing that those are declining. So we need to get the legislature to pass that we can use the internet and our web pages to designate it as our official publication, because more people are looking at things online than they are with the newspaper. Can we do a better job? Excuse me, absolutely we can. We need to communicate as best as we can. Few things on the state level holding us back, but we'll overcome those at some point in time. As Commissioner Purfist has stated, we do have open forums and public comment periods now after agenda items, which we had not had in the past.
Thank you. Another question from the audience, and the order in answering will be Candidate Malika, followed by Candidate Celine, and then Candidate Purfist. What kind of policies, if any, would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in Rice County?
Sure. So we at the county level, myself and Commissioner Underdahl, who is a Faribault commissioner, had asked the rest of the commissioners to create a equity and inclusion committee, diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, which we did. And so there are staff members and two commissioners, myself and Commissioner Underdahl, on that committee. We are looking internally at our organization, and we are looking externally, not to recreate the wheel, but how do we work with the city of Northfield? How do we work with the city of Faribault? So on and so forth, in making our county and our employment situation with Rice County, and how we make that, diversified, the equity and the inclusion, and making it a better place for all. We have seen a continuous upshot in employment of different nationalities. And so we want to continue on that.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
Okay, great. I think the first step here is just to recognize there's a problem, and then to recognize there's a problem right here on the Board of Commissioners. We have a 5-member Board of Commissioners that does not even come close to representing Rice County. We need all forms of diversity. We need generational diversity. I'm 53, and despite my white hair here, I would be the youngest member of the board by a considerable margin. Rice County is increasingly diverse racially, yes. We all know that. But someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Rice County has ever had a non-white commissioner on the board going all the way back to the 1860s. Rice County districts as currently drawn don't give equal voice to Bridgewater, Dundas, Northfield. Hopefully that will change with some legal changes. And it's been 18 years since we've even had a single woman on our county board. Back in 2006, before the first iPhone was even sold. I would take it as a responsibility as a commissioner to work to support new leaders to represent all of Rice County in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purvis.
I believe we can try to incorporate all the races that we have in Rice County. I think one of the major things that the board could probably accomplish here is bring in interpreters for the people that don't speak the English language or the deaf. I feel like they're being left out of this whole equation as far as the government process goes. I feel good about the opportunity people have to be able to participate if they so desire. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question from the audience, and we'll begin with candidate Purvis, followed by candidate Malika, and then finally candidate Celine. Overseeing the budget is a major responsibility of a commissioner. How would you balance county residents' needs for services with the tax burden on residents?
Well, as I've been around the county, financially, a lot of people are hurting. It's a tough period with the high interest rates and the things that are going on. One of the ideas that we did come up with is this loss proposal. It'll alleviate some of the property taxes. It'll be spread out over the year, for you don't have that big check you got to write out a couple times a year. We are responsible for setting the budget and doing what we need to do. A good example here of setting the budget is they used to have a defense attorney was paid $1,500 per case for the county. Well, a couple months ago, the state switched that up, that these attorneys can charge $150 an hour. Last month, what should have cost the county $2,500 cost us over $20,000. That's part of the issues we're facing with these mandates coming down from the state, is that it's just increasing the local taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure. Eric, I'm not that much older than you. Okay. I just had to give that out to you. So yes, when we have to balance the budget, it's very complex. County budgets are so totally different than municipal budgets. There's a lot of things that we do that municipalities don't, and that is, social services, public health. We are required by law to have a jail. We are, the sheriff is designated statutorily to oversee that jail. We, however, commissioners have to pay for the jail as this representing the citizens. Our state of Minnesota needs to step up their game. They need to start funding the mandates in which they require counties to do, because it's getting to the point we can no longer afford to carry out the programs that the state of Minnesota mandates or the federal government. They need to step up their game in program aid. When I say program aid, I'm talking social services programs, mental health programs, public health programs. They throw some one-time money at us, and then it falls on the backs of the taxpayers. So balancing the budget and being able to carry out all the services we need, it's not an easy task.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
So I appreciate all of that and what Galen was just talking about. When I go around talking to people, I hear a lot of concern, and I'm surprised how often I hear people saying things to the effect of, I wish Rice County wasn't always just doing the bare minimum on social services, or I'm concerned about my kid, and will they get what they need? They have some kind of developmental challenge. Are they able to get the services they need from Rice County? And I get it, right? The state has a bad habit of pushing, trumpeting, hey, we're saving money, but they're pushing services down onto our property taxes. Now, I think there are two ways we can handle that. Number one, we could be communicating better with the voters of Rice County about these kinds of concerns. The voters I talk with are very concerned that we are protecting our most vulnerable in our society. And if that means paying something more on our property taxes, and we can convince the public of that, so be it. But more importantly, I think, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Galen, but if we're seeing, complaining about unfunded mandates at the state level, we could be going up there and making sure that the state understands that and changes how it's doing that. Rice County
Great.
commissioners could be the leader.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. So our next question, we'll begin with candidate Celine, followed by candidate Purvis, and then candidate Malika. How will you advocate for Rice County at the state level for agriculture, healthcare, and transportation?
Okay. I don't have like a specific game plan for that, but I am hearing that there are just all these missed opportunities. There are, boring committees to be on, or just the hike up to St. Paul, or just making sure that we're always on their mind. Frankly, I have a reputation for being good at bugging people a lot and being kind of relentless when I'm concerned about something, and I would like to be relentless on behalf of Rice County. Because there are lots of things the state could be doing better in supporting Rice County, and the state is depending too much and putting too much on counties when they're the ones trumpeting, these great goals that we've achieved. We're supporting people in this way or that way, when it's falling on us to actually do that, and we're feeling it on our property taxes. I would love to be up there doing that. It'll take a lot of time, and it'll take a lot of energy, and that's the kind of energy I want to bring as a commissioner. Thank you.
Candidate Purvis.
Could you repeat that question again,
I
please?
would love to. How will you advocate for Rice County at the state level for agriculture, healthcare, and transportation?
Well, I think we need to communicate with our legislators that represent us. We do go up to the state capitol every year lobbying for the county. Every fall, I have Senator Jasinski riding my combine with me for 3 to 4 hours. And when he comes out, he gets to drive the combine. That's why he keeps coming out, I think. But we get a one-on-one talk for several hours about the different issues that he can go back up and represent us with. I think there's programs out there we can use. I think Bowser has some wonderful programs for clean water, soil erosion, healthy soils, and we just got to get the people within our county to participate in some of them programs.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure, thank you. You also had Peggy Flanagan, the Lieutenant Governor, out running your combine. We do work with our local legislatures. I have worked with Christy Purcell on many issues and up testifying on the behalf of Rice County residents for some of her bills, as well as talking to Senator Jasinski out of Faribault. We also have 2 associations that we belong to, Association of Minnesota Counties and MICA, Minnesota Intercounties Association. Those are our lobbying arms where we set platforms with them and carry that out to the full state legislature. I've been up to the St. Paul lobbying with Laura Baker for many years as we continue to seek better funds for them to be able to raise the wages of their employees, because they are taking care of some of the most vulnerable citizens of Rice County, as well as the nursing home workers. So,
thank you. Next question. The order will be candidate Malika, followed by candidate Celine, and then candidate Purvis. What can county commissioners do to expand access to high quality and affordable early learning opportunities?
Sure. So currently, Rice County is working with Faribault at this present moment on some initiatives, housing, education, leadership, and so one of those things is they're working on is we are going to be helping fund the Cradle to Career program for the Faribault School District. I had called Nort Johnson at the chamber about 8 years ago and asked what can we as commissioners do to help the Faribault School District, because of all the school districts in Rice County, they struggle. And things have gotten better, but they struggle. So we as commissioners need to look how we can partner with our education programs within the county and make our communities a better place to be.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of a good example of an area I don't know a whole lot about, and I'll just say that. And this has been a real learning process for me as a candidate. And I may even feel like I learned some things from Galen here, just listening to him talk about those programs. So I'm very much supportive of those efforts. And really, I would like to be learning more. And I feel like that's the job of a good candidate and a good commissioner, to constantly be recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that we need to be learning about the needs of our county and listening and finding out better solutions. So I realize that's kind of a general statement, but that's the kind of attitude I want to take to these kinds of very important issues. So I'm 100% supportive of those efforts, and yet would love to ask lots of naive questions about them as somebody who doesn't already understand how it's supposed to go. And I think that could lead to some productive new solutions, hopefully. Thank you.
Right. Candidate Purvis.
I think Rice County is blessed with many fine schools. We got 2 wonderful colleges here in Northfield. We got a VOTEC school in Faribault, and then the different high schools. As Galen mentioned, this Cradle to Career is something new in Faribault that's trying to get up and going, and they are coming to the county looking for a little support of that. It's taking kids from a young age and bringing them up through. Since it started last year, they reached out to people that dropped out of school, and 47 of them people came back and got their GDUs. The program works. I think a lot of the schooling starts at home. You got to have a solid home base to get the kids taught in the proper manner with support from the parents to keep them going. So that's...
Thank you. So our next question, candidate Celine will be first, followed by candidate Purvis and candidate Malika. Earlier we talked about what we could do as county commissioners for social and racial justice. I'd like to just follow up a little bit as far as how will you encourage individuals, especially younger generations and disenfranchised, to become involved in local government? If you see any sort of barriers, how could you help remove those? And how would you help build those future leaders? That's a meaty question.
Yeah.
So,
I think that is just right at the crux of what Rice County needs to be doing. And we're sitting here in St. Olaf College, right? St. Olaf students and faculty have been incredibly have done amazing things throughout District 1. They've done studies on not our current landfill, but the previous one, the Hoover Dump. They've done studies on our wildlife management areas that are incredible about how to get more public involved effectively. As opposed to thinking of them as some kind of outsider to our district and Rice County in general, we could be embracing these efforts and really supporting and building on them. I think it's about showing up and getting people involved. I think getting students, young people coming to meetings, if they were actually accessible, on a regular basis, making them fun and relevant, going out into schools as commissioners. It's like you have real power as a commissioner. I mean, it's not like a specific job duty, but when you're a commissioner, you can just show up somewhere where young people are and you have kind of standing. People will talk to you and they'll be maybe a little bit impressed that there's a commissioner there. I think there's all these really great possibilities to get people involved, and I'd like to be pursuing that. Thank you.
thank you. Candidate Purvis.
On the county level, a couple times a year, we host different class grades to come to our commissioner meetings. It's fun to see the kids, and then another event that we hold is the senior classes, senior high schools, can come and sit down. We'll eat dinner with them after our board meeting. They attend our board meeting, and they get a tour of the government and how it works. I would like to have more people come to that. I don't know how you force people to come to stuff like that, but we got to get the kids involved somehow or another. I agree.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure, thank you. Yes, we do our Youth in Government Day at the county level where we have all the high schools send a class over. They get a tour of the government, various offices, courthouse, sheriff's department, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also doing outreach. This Monday, we're doing a post-COVID mental health at the Northfield Police Department's community room, and I believe that starts at 5:30. So outreach is one big thing that I trek along with Commissioner Purvis to his town board meetings. I have no rural area in my district, but I go along with him to some of his meetings to learn what's going on out in the rural area. So you got to go out and you got to meet and greet the people. You got to work with them. You got to have your town hall meetings. You got to have your forums, such as we're having this Monday night. And we're going to have probably 5 or 6 of them throughout the year. And so outreach is one huge piece of getting people involved.
Thank you. Earlier, when we talked about affordable housing, we talked about working with the different municipalities. We know government doesn't happen in a silo, and especially county government works with townships and the various municipalities. How do you see your role as county commissioner to continue to build those partnerships and collaborations? And we will begin with candidate Purfist, followed by candidate Malika, and then finally candidate Saline.
Okay, over the last couple of years, on the county level, we implemented accessory dwelling that will help with the shortage of housing. And what that does, it lets, if you have a grandparent, a mother, father, something like that, they can put up a building, move into the garage next to where you're living at and kind of stay with you and you can oversee them. We have taken the villages or the communities and expanded out the, we're opening up the borders around the villages for them to build on without using transfer development rights. So if we pick on, let's say Cannon City out there, there's like a half a mile border around Cannon City, so to speak, that people can build and not have to worry about getting these transfer development rights involved to build. That's Morristown. There's numerous little villages that will be able to offer this service.
Great, thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
You bet. So we know that government doesn't happen in a silo, and that as county government, you have the opportunity to work with a lot of different entities, township, municipalities. As county commissioner, how will you continue to or improve that collaboration and partnership between all of the different entities?
Sure. It's basically someone standing up and as an elected official and moving things forward. And again, we go out and meet with the different county or township boards, and we work with them on zoning changes. That's going to make things work for them, as Jim had alluded to with the widening out the zoning for housing in the village areas such as Vesely, such as Cannon City, and being able to add housing without having to do a transfer development rights. That's just one example. But there's other examples of working with Faribault on economic development issues, or the city of Lonsdale on economic development issues, or the city of Northfield. So it's collaborating and working together, and you just have to keep moving forward for the betterment of the people of the county.
Great. Candidate Saline.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know, I realize it's really important to be working with our cities and townships, but I think there are other organizations kind of off the radar, right? So we have our school districts, of course, and they were left out of the loop when we had our landfill fire. They were not informed about the toxic fumes coming their way. We have nonprofit organizations that are doing amazing things, like Clean River Partners, Community Action Center. We have potentially like Furball Farm. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Maybe our largest virtual tourist attraction in Rice County. 750,000 people follow that place, and yet we're not necessarily like including them in important things. Our Near Strand Big Woods State Park, our largest real tourist attraction in Rice County, 217,000 people visiting that place alone just last year. And local branches of the state government. So like the DNR managing our wildlife management area just east of the Big Woods corridor, which was not involved or informed or when we proposed that mining operation I opened with. And so I would want to see us making sure that we're not just collaborating with these townships and cities, but all these other organizations that make Rice County what it is and why we love to live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with candidate Saline, followed by candidate Purfist, and then finally candidate Malika. Can you provide a time when you've had to make a tough leadership decision? And what were the circumstances and how did you come about your decision?
Yeah, that's okay. That's a great question. I want to reflect on that. I feel like that what's really important to recognize at the outset, I think, is that for things that are important, there are going to be important disagreements. Like, disagreements are real. We don't just all magically agree to things. And I'll talk about this. Like, it might sound like a little odd, but I was once the jury foreperson on an 8-week murder trial. And you can imagine that that would be an odd kind of leadership position to be in. We came into that room, 12 of us, deeply opposed to one, very divided. And it was about finding common ground. And I think, with any kind of situation in which we realize we have very different disagreements, it's finding that common ground, whether as neighbors here in Rice County or in that jury room, we found a way to, like an agreement we made around how we would methodically go through the evidence and facts. And that's the way we were able to come to a good decision in the end and chip away at the disagreements over time. So that was like maybe an odd form of leadership, but I was the foreperson, and we came to a good resolution of that experience after 8 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purvis.
Well, there's always tough issues that come up in the county level, whether it be even furball farms like it was mentioned earlier. There's a lot of neighbors out there that are opposed to that. They don't like the dust. They're concerned about what's happening to 500 cats' manure. There's different issues out there. Another tough one is the gravel pit. That was a tough one. I had people from both sides calling, and I probably wasn't able to keep up with the emails and the correspondence the way I'd like to. We were busy at the time. I do farm, but we got through that, and we went out and hired an independent company to do a review of it, and they came back with basically no issues, and I'd be happy to send anybody a copy of that if they haven't seen it. But there's issues that come up. We need to find common ground and move forward with what we think is the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Malika.
Sure. Every Tuesday might be a tough decision-making day, right, Jim? But yeah, there's always going to be tough decisions to be made. I'm one that likes to try and find the compromise and see if we can compromise two sides to the middle. And sometimes you just cannot do that. And so then you have to take your stand of how you're going to vote. The flag issue, the gravel pit issue, funding the Cradle to Career program for the Faribault Public Schools. We have people that live in that school district that do not want us to believe that, or want us to support that program because they have some conspiracy theories that their children are being brainwashed. And so, anytime we can support things, if we're always going to have disagreements, but we have respectful disagreements, and we try and find the compromise. That's how I operate as a commissioner. If I can't get people the rest of the commissioners to compromise, then I have to vote how I feel my district needs me to vote.
Great. Thank you so much. And that ends the question portion of our time. And so we're going to move on to closing statements. And remember, candidates, you have 1 minute for your closing statement. And the order will be candidate Malika, followed by candidate Celine, and then candidate Purvis. So candidate Malika.
Sure. Once again, thank you for hosting us today. Love being part of these forums because that's how people get to know you and your platforms, your thoughts, and your ideas. Being a long-term commissioner, I think mostly everybody knows where I stand, and I'm very supportive of the people of my district, or the majority of the people of my district. I always try and put the citizens first. Are we perfect as commissioners? No, we're not. But I think that we do a pretty good job at representing the people. Things don't always come out the way people want in a vote, but we have to pick and choose our battles as we move forward in making Rice County the best county that we can make it.
Thank you. Candidate Celine.
All right, well, thank you everyone here. Thank you everyone watching online. Thank you for your interest in the District 1 election. I hope it's clear why this race matters. I'll say that one of the best things about running for office is that I'm getting to visit with so many more District 1 neighbors. I'll ask you to please go to betterricecounty.com where you can follow my Facebook page. I hope you'll check it out. In addition to campaign news, we'll be posting some other fun things, and I'll also keep that website going while I'm in office to gather and share more ideas. I'm convinced we need a fresh perspective on the county board. In fact, this is the only district with any competitive race. Someone who won't assume that the usual way of doing things is good enough. I believe Rice County can update how it does business to be better at being upfront and involving neighbors, at protecting our environment and natural resources, at taking care of the most vulnerable in our community, better at tapping into the talent and knowledge and energy we have right here in District 1. And I'll just say, it would be an honor to have your vote and an honor to serve our District 1 neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Purvis.
Well, thanks again to the League of Women Voters and all of you in attendance. I care deeply about Rice County and its people. I appreciate the confidence and support given to me over the last 4 years, and I would be honored to represent District 1 for the next 4 years. I am committed to working hard, listening to all, being able to improve Rice County and represent its people. I support strong economic development, a healthy environment, expanded housing opportunities, healthy families and communities. My experience as a county commissioner, my longtime commitment to county highlights my qualifications and leadership skills. I am committed to working together to continue to build a strong Rice County now and for the future. Thank you for your support, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you so much. And again, I would like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters or the co-sponsors. And sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of any candidate, of LWV, or the co-sponsors. And with that, I'd like to welcome back up for our closing, Alyssa.
Thank you, Catherine. The League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls, the Institute for Freedom and Community, and the Academic Civic Engagement Program at St. Olaf College and Carleton College would like to thank you all for attending today and our internet audience for viewing. We would especially like to thank our candidates for being part of the democratic process by running for office and their willingness to serve our communities. We also wish to thank all of the volunteers who gave their time today to make this event happen. The League also researches issues important to our members and to the health of our communities. If you're interested in finding more about what we do and how you can make a difference, please pick up our membership brochure at the registration table or visit us at lwvmn.org. Membership is open to anyone ages 16 and older. You can find more information about candidates and voting at vote411.org and lwvmn.org. Links to all the candidate forums and additional voter information can be found at our local league website, lwvnorthfieldmn.org. In addition, we encourage voters to use other educational resources and events, like KYMN Radio's 2024 election guide and the Northfield Chamber of Commerce's upcoming candidate forum on October 3rd, to learn more about their candidates. Again, thank you for coming, and remember to vote in the general election on November 5th. We will take a 15-minute-ish recess before beginning with the next forum for Northfield Mayor and At-Large City Council at 10:15 a.m., followed by a forum for Northfield City Council Ward 2 and 3 at 11:30, and forum for Northfield School Board at 1 o'clock p.m. Thank you.